Have you inherited a property? I think now is the time to really talk about that. Last few transactions that I did were for inherited properties. Some people held on to it for a bit. It's been in the family for a really long time. They kept it and they rented it out. There's a ton of different things to do. Could you sell it right away? Could you move into it? It's always an option, right? Now, this is mostly for California because I'm familiar with the California laws, and this is not legal advice or tax advice. I always say these are the questions you should be asking your tax professional, your trust attorney. When you inherit a property, we're talking about millions of dollars, or at least $1 million for the most part, right? There's houses that are less than a million, but on average in San Jose, the average cost of a house is $2.2 million. So if you inherit a house, what are you going to do with it? Proposition 19 allows you to transfer your tax base after you're 55, but it also has a provision that allows you to move into it and assume that tax basis. Now you have to be one of the brother or sister, and that brother or sister has to move into that house and they get to enjoy that tax basis. So if they bought it back in the 50s for $20,000 or $50,000 and now they're still only paying like a year for property tax, yes, that's a thing in California because we have something called Proposition 13, which only increases the value of that property 2% every year versus what the market does up and down. Proposition 19 is good. We voted for that a few years back. So it's just something to understand. Is that a house that you want to live into? Well, yes, absolutely. Well, what happens if all the siblings are either moved away or they're in their professional jobs and they have a house? Maybe they have a 3,500 square foot house and they don't want to move into a 900 square foot house just to save on tax basis. Maybe renting it out is a good option. Understand this is a sales thing. It's not property tax. But when you sell your house, and again, this isn't tax advice. When you sell your house, you get a stepped up tax basis based on when one of the people inside that or the title, who owns title to that, passes on. When they pass on, you get a stepped up tax basis. Just like in stocks, it's great because when your parents bought something for $50,000 back in the 1950s and now it's worth $2 million, you could be facing a huge capital gains tax burden. Again, it's something you have to talk to your tax person about. But when one person passes on, let's say it's your dad passed on first and then your mom passed on this January, tax law provides that you get a step up in tax basis and you get to sell it at the current value without any tax burden. Now, if you rent it out and let's say 10 years down the road, it increases another $1 million. Well, guess what? You're going to have to pay capital gains on that delta from 2 million to 3 million. That's just the way it is. Gaining income, but if you rent it out, Proposition 19 pushes your property tax basis up to current market conditions. It's like you're assuming title to a brand new house. So it's a lot of stuff to think about, right? If you want to understand, read this article. It's very easy to walk through. If you want to sell your property or rent it out, well, there's also legal considerations, right? We already talked about a lot of different things. Again, this is something where it doesn't just take a real estate agent to help you sell it, the house. You have to talk to a tax person, a trust attorney, and understand all the laws and implications and tax burdens you could be facing for those options. So be sure that you take the time to understand it before you make a decision and call me. And if you need help finding a renter, I'm happy to do that for you as well. Now, if you're going to sell it or clear it out, it's going to take some time. You might say, oh, I can clear this house out in 2 weeks. But once you start drudging through all the stuff, looking at pictures, posters, awards, trophies, and keepsakes, it winds up taking 2 months. This is part of your healing process. And you should absolutely take the time. If you're like, everything in this house is junk, I just need to clear it out. We have estate salespeople that help walk you through the process. They'll take what they can and sell it off on auction or consignment. The rest they'll clean up and take to the dump or take to Goodwill or whatever favorite donation station you wish us to put it through. So it's stuff that we can do for you. I'm actually selling the one in Hollister as a trust situation as well. We spent months cleaning that place up and getting things dialed in and putting new plugs and new switches and not new floor, but we painted and fixed some little things. And then the question is, if you are going to sell it, do you want to sell it as is, or do you want to tune it up a little bit, get rid of all the little hankering things and up the value? I never really say anymore to do a brand new kitchen. You don't get the utility. You don't get the enjoyment out of it. And if you're going to spend $75,000 on a brand new kitchen, you might as well use it and enjoy it and then turn around and sell it after a couple, 3 years. We talk through it as we walk through the house and we discuss different options. Like if the carpet's really gross and smelly and just shredded, I say get rid of it. Sometimes we sell houses just with the carpet torn out and it's just down to bare floor. It's just something that we do for you. So no matter what, just depends on how much equity you want to build out of that and how much you want to get out of it and how much effort you want to put into fixing things up. The next person that comes in is going to put their own flair on it. Sometimes they don't want to pay a premium. They're still going to pay a premium because they're in California. Understand that there's different things that you have to worry about. If you're going to sell that house, download this checklist. It's free. Promise I won't bug you. I'll call you and say, hey, I'm Vito. If you have any questions, this is my number. Please feel free to call me anytime you want, and we'll go from there. Mortgage rates jumped up a tad bit, even more this week. They were an eighth of a point lower last week, and now they're an eighth of a point higher, unfortunately. But don't despair, because I think when you're going through the home buying process, you can buy points to it, right? I'm buying a house in Vegas. I'm talking to my lender. I'm talking to my sister who's a broker there, and we're going back and forth trying to get an understanding of how low it can go. I got quoted 625. I can drop that down by paying points, or I can just suck it up, have it for 6 months, turn it into a HELOC or home equity line of credit, and then refinance it and then use that to pay it down, because it's really an investment vehicle for me. San Jose is the number 4 spot across the entire United States. There's a video I did on it. The link is down below. You can jump through it. What you get for $2 million, San Jose, California, or Santa Clara County. It's a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,200 square foot, built in 1966. And this is in Almaden, right by Almaden Expressway. Get you a quick view of the map so you can see where it is. Let's take a look at this house. It's huge, 5 bedrooms. There's not very many 5-bedroom houses out there. There's nothing wrong with that. If this thing was completely dialed in, maybe you can sell for 2.2 or 2.5. Really depending on what upgrades you put into it. But there's nothing wrong with selling a house like this that's in a trust, parents pass away, and you just move the property, right? It's very okay to do that. And this is what you get for $1 million in San Jose, California. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a whole 960 square feet compared to, what was this one? 2,200 square feet. Wow, you actually get a little bonus by doubling it, the money. And it was built in 1960. So they did upgrade their kitchen, but they didn't add HVAC. This is a wall heater right here. I don't know if you can see it. That's a wall heater right there. But new kitchen, new flooring, new walls. Yeah, this was a flip. Here's the thing. When you sell your house with air conditioning, it tends to sell for about $200,000 more. If you have it without air conditioning, plan on selling it for a lot less. It's $7,000 to $10,000, maybe $12,000, depending on the size of the house, for air conditioning. And when you go to sell it, people are looking for air conditioning. Lately, it's been 20, 30 times a year. People want air conditioning. It's like a car. Cars don't come without air conditioning anymore, unless you buy it straight from overseas. So if you're going to sell a house, think about putting air conditioning into it. I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to get $200,000 more for that $15,000 investment, but there you go. Okay. Bay Area, 12 Bay Area months of inventory. Nothing's changed. I haven't touched this, just looking at it again. Our inventory is so low. 6 months is where it becomes a buyer's market, and everything is so far below the market right now. And months of inventory is down to when this is Santa Clara County single family houses, we're less than 0.7 months, 0.9 months. So less than a month, and active number of sales are just zero. We have in Santa Clara County, we have close to 600 homes for sale. We just don't have